So, Super Dragon Ball Heroes. At first I got the names confused and called it just Dragon Ball Heroes, but there is in fact a difference, so whatever. I remember first seeing this anime on YouTube through really low quality clips. I wasn't aware that there was an actual YouTube channel, but I fought for my life trying to find the full episodes, not realizing they were usually only 8 minutes and not a full 22 minutes. I always thought I was missing something. Then one day the videos just stopped appearing for me. I have no idea what happened. It stopped showing up on my recommendation as the bad clips, so I fell out of it. I got interested in the show again around 2022 to 2023. That was around the time the Ultra God Mission anime was being uploaded, and I remember clearly when everyone was going insane over that clip of Yamcha and Vidro. Everyone was like, Yamcha's finally getting a win! And then like the very next episode aired or something and it was revealed that they get married in 1200 years. Great. So with this sort of hype around one clip, what was the general opinion of the anime? It sounds like everyone enjoyed it, especially with all the fan service, right? Everyone fucking hated it. And don't get me wrong, it's understandable. The anime makes little to no sense at all. Even when I first tried watching it back in 2022, it was hard to follow with the pacing and general story. But Dragon Ball is one of the most beloved series to ever come out. So was Dragon Ball Heroes as bad as everyone made it out to be? Well, I think Dragon Ball Heroes is really, really good. At least the manga is. So for this video, I want to talk about why I think the manga managed to succeed over the anime. First things first, I'm going to get the animation out of the way. The anime looks just fine. It takes from the Dragon Ball Super art style, but it got rid of that shine that makes them look like plastic, so it doesn't look as bad as you'd expect. And at times, there are insanely good bits of animation that are beautiful to watch and shows that the anime does have the ability to be so much more. This isn't the worst thing in the world to watch, especially considering this is just meant to be a promotional anime, but I always feel like more could have been done. But then there are times where you have to question what the hell their budget was. You're going to see this clip of Super Saiyan 3 Trunks a lot. That's because I hate this design, and every time I look at it, I get more infuriated because they don't translate it well in the anime. I feel the same about the manga version of him though, don't worry. But honestly, I hate this Super Saiyan 3 design to begin with, so I might be the only one with this problem. Luckily, only the earlier episodes have this kind of okay animation. The later episodes get much better. And when I say later, I mean the Ultra God Mission. The Meteor Mission animation, I won't get into that. The anime already has a lot going against it. I can really only assume a majority of the animators had other things to do, or they ran out of money entirely, so they resorted to using the character models from the games. But that's all I have for animation. Let's hurry and move on. I can't stand to look at Meteor Mission any longer. Another problem I have with the anime is the general pacing. All of the episodes are 7 to 8 minutes long, which for a promotional anime isn't bad. But if you're smart, you know 7 to 8 minutes is not enough for a cohesive story. And how does the anime handle this? It doesn't. Every single episode moves so fast it can be difficult to follow with what's happening. The episodes jump from plot to plot where you can't understand who certain characters are, why certain characters are here, what's happening, why this is important or why that is important, etc. The worst example of this has to be how they handled the Dark King Mechikabura saga. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this is my favorite saga in the entire series. It introduces several unique and standout characters, has very good moments that help you connect with the story, includes important lore moments that carry on to other sagas, and what does the anime do? They put the entire saga into one episode. One 8-minute episode. The episode literally opens with Trunks talking about how it's finally time to fight against King Mechikabura. How everything they've been doing has led up to this very moment, and this is going to be an epic fight, guys. Can you believe it? It's time for the Time Patrol to fight King Mechikabura. But firstly, what actually led up to this fight? Secondly, why the fuck are all these characters here? And thirdly, who is King Mechikabura? I know this is a promotional anime and it goes on the idea that the viewer has already seen the games and understands everything prior. But if Bandai wants to make money with this anime in any way, I would argue they should have fleshed it out more. Imagine this is your first exposure to heroes ever. Why would you want to spend your money on this game when you're not even invested in any storyline or character because everything moves too fast or things get cut out entirely? Nobody is going to want to buy a King Mechikabura card just because they saw him for a single episode. The only reason I got more interested in Heroes was because I read the manga and enjoyed the characters enough to where I wanted cards of them. And maybe character designs within the anime helped with that, but you still want to invest people in the story before you try selling them more merch. To be fair though, the anime and manga cover just about the same sagas, though the anime sort of flips the order of it. In the anime's order, it goes the Prison Planet Saga, Universal Conflict Saga, Universe Creation Saga, New Space-Time War Saga, Super Space-Time Tournament Saga, and the Demon Invader Saga. Of course, in the order of the manga, the Dark Demon Realm Saga and the Dark King Mechikabura Saga are before Prison Planet, but whatever. Now, to rank from best to worst, for me, it's Dark Demon Realm, Super Space-Time Tournament, Universe Creation, New Space-Time War, Universal Conflict, Demon Invader, and Prison Planet. Those names are really long, but still, this is all my opinion. I think I just don't like Prison Planet because of... But other than that, all the sagas are good. Now, let's move on to characters. Their designs for now. The canon characters here all have really good designs. Except Vegeta, they just slapped a Capsule Corp logo on him and called it a day. All of the canon characters just look really cool. Xeno Goku, for example, looks good since the red and black fit him. It's a neat contrast to how his personality is portrayed. This is a Goku from a different timeline, and the dark colors, along with how serious he seemingly looks from other art, you could assume he'd be different, but he's just as silly and carefree as he normally is, and I like that a lot. Maybe this is a thing I only notice, but I still like pointing it out. Another thing added to him is his power pole, and while he isn't really shown using it in the anime, he does use it in the manga. One of my favorite designs from the canon characters comes from Zamasu. He keeps the same color palette he normally has, but it's the way he's presented. He still has his elegant and godly look to him, yet his clothes are ripped and the left side of his body is ruined, which is a really cool detail once you realize the left side that's destroyed was the same side that was corrupted in the anime and manga. Small details like this add so much to designs. Trunks is another good design. Although I don't have a lot to say on it like I did for Goku and Zamasu, he's always had an appealing look to him, so there's no way they could have ever messed him up. I've always liked his long hair, and the trench coat just makes him look sick. The best design by far has to be Pan's. Her design lives rent-free in my head. It's just enough to fit with her general personality and still feels like it's a design that fits with her rather than something boring or out of character. Xenopan is one of my favorite designs from Pan, and yes, this is a huge bias. Moving on to the new characters, they're perfect and fit right in with the canon characters. Salsa and Poutine both look good standing next to each other. Salsa is introduced as being short and a child, but as he gains power, he gains height and becomes more intimidating. The big ears on his hood are also just adorable, I can't even lie. On the other hand, Poutine has light colors and a more lighthearted design that could tell people she's not as evil, especially considering she was once a wizard from the heavenly realm. But as she also gains more power and more blacks are added to her design, it just shows that she's the same as the rest of the demons. Robelu with her blues is very nice looking since they definitely fit with her character, and since her partner is Shamel and they're shown to be somewhat opposing to each other, Shamel's red is a neat contrast to her. The mix of red and blue that Demigirl has makes it easy for anyone to see that the three are allied. Lags is also very pretty to look at. I like her eyes and the way they take advantage of her being made of glass. She always has the shine to her, and although quiet, her design helps show that she's elegant but also keeps to herself, save for hearts. The best design from these characters is Ios, especially her TPU design. Yes, I know I shit on Pansy for having eye bleeding colors while Ios has this hot pink, but you know what? At least Ios wasn't a rehashed character added to the story rather than being annoying and a little... Sorry, Diamond review coming never. So now, here's my biggest problem with the anime. The characters' personalities. Every single person in this anime is boring as fuck. Everyone has almost the exact same personality, which is just being serious and fighting. It makes them seem like wooden boards. This is somewhat fixed later on, mainly with Yamcha and Vidro, but it's still somewhat the same. But you know, this is Dragon Ball. Character personalities? Nah, you guys want to see the fighting and the transformations and the money we can make off figures. This all goes back to my point of getting the viewer to be interested in the characters for them to want to check out the games and cards. This personality thing is a problem because in the manga, all of the characters have such charm to them. It takes away what made them as interesting as they were to me and what connected them as friends, allies, and even enemies. It makes every character feel really boring, which sucks because everyone is enjoyable in their own way in the manga. If everyone had kept their personalities, the anime would definitely have been more interesting. So many character moments are missed missed out on because of this personality change. I'd say that's why characters like Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, Whis, Caulifla, and so many others in the main series are so appealing. It's the way they act, bounce off each other's personalities, how they react to situations. If characters lack their personality, or if they're all the same, there's no reason to be attached to them. And if you think that it doesn't matter much, that it's just an anime made to get more money, I could argue that there are so many examples that even gave me a reason to care. Did you know that Poutine has a nickname for the other demons, such as calling Towa Sis, Gravy Meat Shield, and Salsa Genius? She's a very childish and unserious character. She's shown to be a tease too, such as teasing Salsa for wanting to return to Mechkabura like a lost puppy. Shamel is shown to be sarcastic and done with everyone's shit most of the time. He values efficiency and constantly remarks on the others when they're being inefficient. Robelu has a big ego and constantly thinks highly of herself. A fun little moment with her is when Pan calls her pretty older sister and she gets flustered with it. Lags and Hearts also make as good examples, because while you would think that Lags is just his subordinate, he says in the manga that she's a dear friend and is worried after she ends up going missing. Shroom is unhinged and Loki another one of my favorites. He's just silly, reckless, and really funny. It doesn't just stop at them, it goes on to the canon characters. In the anime, you know that moment when Vidra calls Yamcha darling? You probably wouldn't have known that Pan lied to her and told her that Yamcha's name was Darling to help set them up. There's a moment where Goku, Vegeta, Xenogoku, and Xenovegeta are starting to argue on who to give up their chi to, while Trunks and Poutine just stare at them. While Vegeta isn't willing to do the time patrol pose anytime it comes up, Pan is instead confused when she first sees it and wants to do the pose with them. She's also the one to do the pose the most. Details and moments like this make the characters more interesting, and I wish they kept it. And honestly, maybe this was the reason why people didn't want to waste their time on the anime. It's boring. So, if I could recommend Super Dragon Ball Heroes to others, I would recommend the manga over the anime. It all comes down to preference. If you want something that focuses more on the characters and their dynamics with each other along with a focus on the story, then the manga would be better. If you would rather have something that focuses on fighting and moves at a faster pace, then the anime would be better. Personally, I had so much fun reading the manga, and I have a lot of new favorite Dragon Ball characters to add to my list. Super Dragon Ball Heroes isn't as bad as everyone made it out to be, and I highly recommend the manga if you're bored of waiting for Dragon Ball Super to return. Thanks for watching, and go check out my other videos. Wait, what do you mean this video took so long the Moral Saga was announced?